Hello everybody, welcome back to the Jazz Project. As you may be able to tell, we are flip-flopping our series today. We are doing KSP POV and we will be doing KXP on Monday. But that is because I am very proud to say we have finally made a breakthrough, and that is in thanks to the OPT mod, which gave us different types of spaceplane parts, which led to the creation of this. Now, I named it a good spaceplane, not a great spaceplane, because it turns out I actually built all this, did all the testing, tried to perfect my design as much as possible, only to find out that I actually have, if we do a little more research, we can get an even more powerful version of that engine right there, which may behoove us, which may make this whole thing even better than that. But today we are actually going to do a mission. It has taken the better part of 2 weeks to get this whole thing in motion. Vertical takeoff and landing plane, a single stage to orbit plane, a Jool 5 capable plane, and in KSP POV we are going to Eve. I don't know why it has the mission flag of Jool. I guess it just took it when it loaded the plane, but we are going to Eve and Gilly with this thing. The cargo bay, as we open it up, has basically the same things as the previous planes from the previous episodes and live streams. We've got our resource mapper, we've got our altimetry mapper, we've got our reconnaissance imager, which will show us resources and biomes and things like that. I'm not sure which one does which, but we're going to get all of the information possible. We have a drill-o-matic and convertitron and storage tanks, so that way we should be able to refuel our craft once we land on all the different places that we land on, and hopefully that will give us a replenishing necessary to keep moving forward, keep moving on, and hopefully come back home. We have the solar panels. Since you're not going to see them in today's episode, I'll show you what they look like here. Looking pretty good. Fun. Have a lot of... Actually, we don't need as much power going to Eve as we do going to Jool. So I'm actually going to make those the basic ones. They'll weigh a little bit less. Alright. Retract all solar panels. There we go. So this is our craft. It once again is vertical takeoff and landing, so we do have these engines here, and our goal today is to take our Kerbals, not the tourists, but we're going to take all the Kerbals that we have available, and we are going to bring them out of the proving grounds and back to KSC proper, because it is just, it's a terrible inclination that we're at here, and trying to get this thing into space, it's difficult enough making an SSTO. So the KXP crowd has been kind enough to allow us to take off from their runways to get a nice equatorial orbit. So today we are not going to space, however we are going to fly this thing over to the other continent and go ahead and attempt a safe landing, and we're going to do this all not in simulation but in real in the real game. And hopefully, and then in the next episode, not hopefully, but in the next episode, we are going to take off from that runway, full tank of gas, and bring our Kerbals up into orbit, and then start the actual Eve mission itself, the Eve project. And KXP, they're going to do the same, but with Jool. And theirs is a little more complicated. They have a contract to, before they're going to Jool, to swing by both the Mun and Minmus, so theirs is a little more complicated, so I'm actually excited to see what the better technology will do for us. Anyways, let's go ahead and get this out on the launch pad. Alright, here we are at the Desert Complex launch site. Runway, anyways. Not the actual Desert Complex, the Proving Grounds, because this is not at the same location as the Desert launch site is. This is its own location. But we are going to go ahead and get ourselves ready to fly. Got a few cameras that will help us assist in that. I'm I'm gonna do this top down. Actually, I'm gonna do takeoff camera of our back part. I'm actually gonna do 2 cameras here instead. I'll have my, there we go, I'll have that up there, and I'll have my nav ball over here. We do have a secondary pilot that can assist us. What do I want here? Oh, that'll do us good. Keep an eye on our wing. We also have a bunch of Kerbals back here. They have access to a lot of screens. This is going to help us. It's going to help us eventually as we get ourselves up into orbit and docking and doing all that stuff. But for now, for this flight, we don't need them to really work. Oh, you have a nice little blue in your hair. I never noticed that. That's cool. And we got 4 there. I do have more Kerbals underneath, but I guess not. Alright, anyways, we are ready to take off. All checks have been accomplished. There is no other there's no other IVA modes for this mod, and this uses a type of IVA that I'm not really fond of. I believe this is the MAS version. I like the DE. No, it's not the MAS. I can't remember what version this is. Maybe it says it here. More DVs, that's what it is. Oh, it is an MAS. Anyways, all that's just a little technical jargon for IVA stuff, but nonetheless, it is beneficial because it will get me to become a little more used to it, so that's nice. Anyways, let's go ahead and turn on our lifting engines, our vertical engines, our horizontal nuclear ELU engines, and our side scram jets provided by the OPT mod. I don't see brakes anywhere here. I have my brakes on. Oh, there they are. Alright. Turn our brakes off. Starting to move a little bit. And let's go ahead and throttle up. And immediately we lift off. So let's go ahead and bring in our gears. Let's kill our vertical throttle for a second. Bring it back on. This will help us straighten out. Oh, don't look so worried. We got it. Alright. So basically, I am getting a little more forward thrust than I had in my testing. That's not exactly great. Alright, we're gonna need to switch this around. I need more information. Where's my flight? Alright, our horizontal speed. Okay, we need to wait until we can get our horizontal speed to 200. And then we can turn our vertical off. Gonna keep an eye on these 3 screens right here if we can. Alright, we can turn our vertical throttle off. Yeah, there we go. Alright. Alright, our altitude is dropping, so we do need to pull up a little bit. Pull up. There we go. We're descending a little bit. And so now we actually do need to pitch around to the east, I believe. Let's go ahead and get our waypoint up. If we can do this without dropping into the drink, that would be ideal. Get the KSP going. Alright, and I think that's going to be behind us. I don't have my gear down. Don't tell me too low gear. Oh, they're telling me that I'm too low, that I should put my gear down. Gotcha. Alright, so the heading to the KSC is 217. And we are definitely turned around from there. No, I mean, isn't that what this is? Yeah. No, we should be going, oh, east. We should be going east. We're heading north. That's alright. Gotcha. Alright. So, as you can see here, we are not in a simulation. This is indeed for real. So we got to keep our Kerbals alive at all costs. We don't have any parachutes on this craft because it's not really designed to rely on them. And I feel like having parachutes on this craft invites the possibility of staging them like we did in one of the previous episodes. Alright, so that should be heading east. Let's try to go up above the clouds a little bit. We're not trying to get orbital here, so we don't need to maximize our air intake or efficiency or anything like that. We can just get a nice high altitude cruising speed, head over the Intercontinental Divide, arrive at the KSC safe and sound, and get ready for a joint mission. I think my goal in the next episode, in Monday's episode if I can, is to launch both the POV flight and the third-person flight, and that is both just to get them both just into orbit, and then we'll deal with the refueling aspect and heading interplanetary and all that in the following episode from there. Alright, going about 410 meters per second. Once we pass above this cloud layer, be pretty happy to straighten out, and we're just gonna cruise. I believe we are pointed the correct way. It does say that our distance to the KSC is increasing. I don't know if we'll get the heading. I don't know if we'll get the we'll be able to see the waypoint marker unless we go into third person point of view. Yeah, I don't like that we're pulling away from it. The ETA is getting closer, but we are pulling away from it. Can I find my heading here? We're just gonna do some troubleshooting as we fly. We're not really in danger of crashing anymore. Target. Ah, here we are. Heading is 79. Oh, okay. Let's pull down our throttle a little bit. We don't need to be, although that is a pretty great it's a pretty great screenshot. Oh, what did I do? There we go. Alright, so our heading is 79. We need 248. I feel like that doesn't make a lot of sense. Gotta watch our G's here. And throttle down a little bit. I feel like we're doing a complete turnaround. Okay, so our heading is now passing 120. Oh no, it's 250. That's what we need. I was looking at the distance. We're now dipping below the clouds, which is not great because that means we're on a downwards trajectory. That's okay. Let's straighten out a little bit. Let's regain some of that surface speed that we need. Yeah, still going up in distance. We must have turned right at Albuquerque when we should have turned left. It's okay. It's okay. If ever we feel like we're in danger of crashing, we do have those vertical engines which have enough thrust to weight ratio, has a high enough thrust to weight ratio that we will be able to keep ourselves from impacting too quickly. But it will require us to be straightened out if we do that. We're still going 319 meters per second, so we have some pretty good lift going, or some good enough speed to keep us from stalling out even at these drastic turns that we're making. We are starting to go down on our distance to KSC, so that's making me feel a lot better. We're in the 200 heading now, 200 degree heading. Oh, I guess the heading can be seen right here. All right. Switch that camera back. There we go. Oh, there it is. All right, there's our marker. Okay, yep, we were going the wrong way. But we're on track now. We're gonna straighten ourselves out a little bit as we come into our final heading spot. We do have atmospheric autopilot on, so we'll be able to keep ourselves steady, but we're not gonna use any kind of ascent guidance or anything like that, autopilot. We're just going to have it keep us steady. It's a little bit, I trust it a little bit more than regular SAS. So, now let's just lift ourselves above the clouds once more. We're actually going to turn on our vertical engines to help assist in that process. Gives us a little extra boost. Since we don't need the fuel in order to get into orbit, we can manage just fine, because we're not trying to get into orbit basically. So we can manage the flight that we need to currently just fine. Let's go ahead and throttle up again so we can get our speed going to bring us back up. How's everyone doing? All good? Good. Still on course, 264, but nonetheless, it says at our current rate of speed, we'll get there in about 4 minutes. That's good to see. Nice quick journey, a little jaunt from one place to the other. This is nice. So now I've actually never tested landing this. Not on Kerbin anyways. I did do a quick test flight to see how it does in Eve's atmosphere, which was pretty interesting. I'm very excited to start taking this thing interplanetary to both Eve and Lathe. So yeah, so I did land on Eve with this particular thing, and so I've had experience in that, but as far as landing on Kerbin goes, I have not, and especially landing somewhere intentionally and specifically, like at the KSC, as opposed to just some random hill at Eve, which is, you know, how I did it. Okay. So, I don't think there's really much else to say, except this camera looks tilted. I thought the craft was tilted, but... Oh, okay, we are going a little fast. Let's throttle down. Throttle down. It's only going to take us a minute to get there now. Okay, so you know what? Let's kill our engines entirely. Okay, maybe not entirely. Yeah, because now we're coming down. Yeah, so we ended up getting there a lot faster than I thought due to the fact that this thing can go like Mach 3.7, Mach 4, something like that. So this was actually a rather short journey. If this ends up being a short episode, I apologize for that. Go ahead and quick save here. I am going to try to live with my consequences, but if I just fumble the landing way too hard, I think we'll give ourselves a few tries. But if it ends up being a disastrous attempt, then I'll just bring it down into the water. All right, 36 seconds until we arrive. Don't need this or this. Yeah. I gotta pull up a little bit. Oh yeah, got very close. Oh, 200. All right, let's throttle down a little bit. Okay, okay. Vertical engines. Whew. Throttle up. Oh, whoo, that got my heart going. Vertical engines off. Full engines off. Okay, we are gonna need to come around for a secondary pass, I think. Vertical engines on. Oh, landing gear. Not paying attention in the slightest. Vertical engines off. Okay. We need to think about this differently, and I just noticed... Are we not at the KSC? No, we must be at the KSC. Did we load in from the wrong game? We are going way too fast to be playing this risky. Alright, you know what? We're in the desert right now. We just flew in a circle. Waypoint, did you do us wrong? I thought that was too close of a... distance. That makes more sense. And that also makes more sense for the heading. Alright, well, guess this won't be too short. I think I'm going to keep that in because those were some harrowing moments right there. Okay, rather than turning the long way, let's actually just keep going right. Alright, yeah, so we're gonna switch over to this seat just for a little bit more comfort. Where's our heading? There we go. Yeah, so this is a very powerful space plane. It's very fast. It has a lot of thrust and a decent amount of maneuverability. So we do have to be careful with it and the fact that we can absolutely destroy ourselves with relative ease. Alright, we're passing the 0 mark, 360. What's the heading? 87. Guess I could switch back to the other pilot. Or just change this. There we go. Yeah, look how maneuverable this thing is. At full speed, even as big of a boat as it is, it's just turning around like no problem. Yeah, see, I thought the runway was at a weird angle. I thought that it was a very short distance across that water. I mean, I did mention the fact that we can go like Mach 3 or 4, but nonetheless, yeah, that was definitely not the right location. But that's okay. Switch back to our other pilot. Valentina Kerman. Alright, so we are in the right spot. Alright, so 23 minutes of flight. That makes a whole lot more sense. We look at our Delta V. It says that we only have 9 minutes, but I believe that's just due more to the height that we are at, because we have the Project ELU engine, so that means that we can essentially fly for free as long as we're in the atmosphere. Although it does look like our liquid fuel is going out. So you know what? We will allow ourselves to build up some considerable amount of speed, because that will shorten the distance, or the time anyways, that it takes to get there, allowing us to have a much shorter burn time and still be able to get there. So we are going to let a little bit of heat build up as we go along, and hopefully we'll be able to keep going. I think we did waste a lot of fuel in our efforts there. We could technically just, you know, relaunch to the flight's launch and pretend like none of this ever happened, but I think it's good to see how our crew can handle changes in plans. Point ourselves a little more horizontal. Cabin overheat, yes, thank you. Oh, don't need those engines on. We are messing a little around in all of my testing. No matter what I did, something would overheat and explode. I don't know if I have a realism mod on here for heating effects, which is possible, but there's nothing I can do about it right now. Can't remove it, but we are having our cheat on to ignore the max temperature. At this point, I'm straying a little bit from the career mode. This was never really supposed to be like a hardcore mode. I did have TAC life support on there, which we have strayed away from already, but this was never meant to really be like a hardcore playthrough. It was career mode to an extent, just because I don't do science mode. I just always do career. But I think we're going to stray from stringent rules of, oh, you know, max temperature is not allowed, and you know, oh, if we're going to run low on funds, we have to just grind out contract after contract. Because I think we're actually at the point in this series where I feel like I care more about doing the interplanetary things, about visiting different locations, bringing Kerbals, you know, down to different moons and planets, and coming back and conquering the Kerbal space, not Kerbal space program, but the Kerbal solar system and all that it has to offer. What's our altitude right now? 9 kilometers? We could probably bring that down a little bit. But yeah, and so I want to keep our forward progress going with that, our momentum going. And therefore, if, you know, we have to allow ourselves a little bit of leeway, then I'm all for it. I have been thinking about whatever... Yes, thank you. I have been thinking that whenever I do a new series, we will be attempting the SETI mod. The SETI program... Oh, okay. Throw on our... Lower engines don't have the oxidizer to throw on our vertical engines. Okay. But anyways, I will... I'm thinking about playing around with that mod. Because that's a pretty hardcore realism mod. I think it involves Kerbal construction time. It's like... as close to RP1 as you can get without, you know, going into real solar system or KSRSS, Kerbal-sized real solar system, things like that. And so I'm interested in trying that out. Oh, we have it programmed to the island airfield, not the Space Center. See if we can fix that real fast. Yeah, we don't have the actual, because we switched our KSC, it doesn't have the KSC as an option to point to. So we're going to point to the desert airfield, and once we get close enough, maybe we'll be able to go land over at the KSC. I am excited to see how this performs with better quality engines, especially ones that don't overheat. All right, let's just go ahead and turn those off for now. We've got enough speed, we can glide. But yeah, I'm excited to see how this does with better quality engines. We already have the ability to, you know, take off, get to space, get to orbit, no problem. We have the ability to, once we're refueled in low carbon orbit, we have the ability to get to Jool, to get to Eve. We can air brake and stuff. I haven't tested getting back. That's going to be its own challenge, but nonetheless, I believe that this may be capable. All right, now cooled off. The engines have cooled off a little bit. We're gonna pop that back on. Maybe we just landed the island. Eh? Technically, I need to go to the KSC, but we can just land at the island, right? It is a little bit challenging to descend into, and this is very uncontrollable. Worst case scenario, we just dump it in the water next to the KSC's runway. But that's just worst case scenario. I would like to land this, but honestly, Kerbal lives are more important than clout of a good landing, and you know, we just need to get these Kerbals over to this location, and then they'll set them up for a much easier mission time going forward, because it's just easier to get to orbit from this inclination. Okay, so we are about to run out of fuel. 16 seconds left of liquid oxidizer. We will see if we continue to have the thrust to weight to keep us lifted. Do we have a thrust to weight anywhere around here? Yeah, right here, 850. Ooh, and it drops to 378. Okay, but that's a decent thrust to weight, right? Is that enough to keep us flying? I actually haven't tested how well this flies when it runs out of liquid fuel to power the scramjet engines. But this is handling. All right, pretty happy with that. Yeah, thrust to weight ratio really only needs to be like, for smaller planes, it just needs to be like above 0.6. The larger you get, the more you need, obviously, to keep your craft lifted. But for something like this, I think even just like a 1 would be fine. Oh, are we passing over land? No, we're not. Oh, it looks like we are. Did we straight up fly right on by the KSC? That doesn't make any sense. We haven't even hit the island airfield yet. Did we come from the other side Cove launch site. Yeah, see. Wow. Interesting. I was completely wrong about this entire flight. I thought we were on the other continent. Oh, wait. No, that makes sense. I don't know what I'm saying. Alright. I mean, I know what I'm saying. I'm just saying the wrong things. Okay. Losing control there. That was not good. I just killed our throttle entirely and almost ruined everything. Alright, because we don't have any vertical capabilities anymore. It's no longer VTOL, it's just VTO. It's close to PTO, but just not as exciting. Alright. Alright, we gotta be very cautious with this. Yeah. Okay. Full throttle. Also a good game. Whew. Alright, we can get rid of our Delta V stats because it's not going to teach us anything at the moment. We're just going to keep pressing on. Maybe I'll put that there. It is very cool to see. I like flying. Once you get a clouds mod, it doesn't have to be black ranks, but once you get okay. Once you start paying attention to what you're doing instead of talking about how cool it is to fly, then it's really cool to fly. All right. So it is actually really cool to see that this ELU engine can just keep going and just keep you upright and all that stuff. I may at some point, you know, I've been so busy with all these different series ideas and gameplay stuff and life stuff that, you know, it's hard to even think about new projects and whatnot, but it would be really cool to revisit my visit all the POVs on Kerbin Challenge, but instead of this huge helicopter, sea-bound, you know, this big, you know, monster of a craft, build like tiny little VTOL plane using this ELU engine that can just keep flying and just, you know, fly from place to place. See if we can just do it in a tiny little time period. That might be fun. I don't know if you know, but I did do a video where I visited all the POIs on Kerbin, and the whole thing took about 90 hours just recording. Just recording took 90 hours. That's not even the editing process or any of that, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. Check that out if you haven't seen it, but yeah, I could be interested in a second attempt with tiny little VTOL. Alright, let's switch back to the True Pilot Valentina. Mission Commander. Alright, it says 5 minutes. I think I'm just going to hang out here, keep ourselves upright. I will fast forward the footage if it's not too jarring. If not, we'll just cut to a little bit closer of a time period, and I will see you soon. That looks like the cove. That looks like the cove where the KSC is. That doesn't make a lot of sense. But regardless, I am going to point myself a little bit more towards that island runway. Gotta pull up. Yeah, I guess it's, no, it's not the cove. It's just a cove. You know what? I think I'm going to point more towards C-Lab. Somewhere in between these, because C-Lab... Ooh, okay, okay. Lift up, lift up, lift up. C-Lab was launched right off the coast of the KSC. So I feel like that's a more accurate waypoint. We're definitely going to need to make a waypoint here, because we may have to visit our friends at the KXP crowd at another point, but... Whew. So this has, you know, 3 point something thrust to weight ratio, but it also, like, it falls out of the sky very quickly once you take off the throttle. Wish I had just a little bit more window. Okay, I feel like we're dropping a little low to the hill, and there are trees. I can't see the trees on the camera, but there are trees with collision that will make our day very uncomfortable if we hit them. I think that flat area might be the KSC, maybe like over there. This cockpit is a bit tricky to see out of. Do have to rely a lot on your cameras. Doing risky maneuvers, pulling low like that. Maybe I did overshoot it. Ooh, dangerous. Only 153 meters per second. I'm dropping speed. That's not good. Okay. Yeah, we've got no oxidizer left. We got no liquid fuel left even, so vertical landing is not an option. I think we're gonna aim for the island runway and do our best. You know, I will give ourselves a little bit of a quick save here. We'll get a couple tries, but if not, then we'll just take a safe landing. Okay. Minute and 45 seconds to our approach. I do know that the island runway is at a very awkward angle. Yeah, that angle over there. Only going 264 meters per second and rising, but so we are staying airborne, but only just. Alright, I think we're gonna bank a little bit harder here. And then flip it around. Get eyes on our target. This is not great. But we do have a lot of maneuverability with this, so that is something. Something to be said. Yep, we are not lined up, but that's okay. We can kill our throttle and hopefully just kind of coast in. Gotta watch our trajectory. And our speed, we may have to throttle up a little bit. Just a little bit of thrust to keep us going. Whoops. Oh, there we go. Oh yeah, this is not looking good. Okay, and you know what? We'll take it. We'll take it. Whew. Yeah, that is not the best. Yeah, so we did waste a lot of fuel and oxidizer just in that little spin around where we went in a circle. Can't believe I can still kind of control this. This would make for a pretty decent boat, I think. I could probably use some of these parts for a submersible. Yeah. But yeah, so in the next episode, we are going to refuel this. We're going to take it off from the KSC runway. And I'm thinking if it works out well enough, I'm thinking we will do both, I think I mentioned this earlier, but we will do both the KXP and the POV launch to orbit. We'll have 2 launches there, and this thing really wants to pull to the right in the water. But yeah, I think we'll do 2 launches that day, and yeah, this is the rest of the place. Yeah, we'll do 2 launches that day and get both these things up into orbit, so that way we are all ready. Whoops. That way we'll be all ready for the launch to Eve. And just let go. Valentina. Well, everyone, I think that is where I'm going to leave today's episode. In the next episode, we are going to take this craft fully fueled off from the KSC runway in both the KXP and the POV point of view. That way we can just quickly get back to our regular scheduled broadcast, start the Jool program, start the Eve program, start our interplanetary exploits and abilities, and yeah, I am very excited to get this plane up and running. But anyways, that is where I'm going to leave today's episode. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're looking forward for more of the Janus Project. If you did think about subscribing, drop me a like, let me know your thoughts, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care.